Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. Today, we will talk with Patrick Davis, artiste extraordinaire. Welcome to the show, Patrick.
Morning. How are you both?
Patrick, I hope you're well this morning.
I'm doing pretty well. Yeah. Good.
Awesome. Well,
Thanks
first,
for
can
having
we
me.
start? You're very welcome. First, I'd like to start with how you first got into art. Was it something you did as a kid? Was it something you picked up in school? What were your influences going along?
Sure. So I did do a bit of art, growing up. But really, I kind of got out of the habit of doing it probably like halfway through high school, somewhere thereabouts. Was
When the social life takes over.
social life, and I was also kind of discouraged from making it a career choice, I guess I'd say. I wasn't, I'm still not amazing by any means, anything like that. I enjoyed doing it. It was just kind of a hobby kind of thing. So I didn't really pursue it after that, and I kind of just gave it up there. Went to college initially. My plan was to be a high school English teacher, which also kind of didn't pan out. The School of Education was very limited, and there was a little snafu with getting me in. So I just went for a straight English degree. I did take some art classes, art history and a few things along those lines. So I kept the interest alive, but I wasn't really drawing much, more than a few doodles here and there. Nothing that I'd want to show anyone. But
so, with your English degree, do you write anything as well as doing art?
I did, and it was another one of those things where it was like, you're okay at it. Don't give up your day job as being a breakfast cook just yet. But really, it wound up being. I'm sorry.
I think you've got a great way with words. I mean, when we chat online, it's always so funny, like how you manipulate the language to make a joke out of it, and that. I don't know if you've ever used that in your work at all.
In my artwork, not particularly. I don't think so. I guess there is, one, joke piece that I did for Rhode Island Comic-Con this past year. They had both Gaten Matarazzo from Stranger Things, Dustin, and the kid that plays Bodhi in Lock and Key. And I'm struggling to remember the actor. He's little kid. But they, if you're familiar with the show, Bodhi is in the first season watching his uncle bid a single-fingered salute goodbye to his old home, and his uncle tells him that it means aloha. And so he goes, "Oh, aloha!" Flips from the bar.
Peace Among Worlds. If you've seen that,
What's that?
That reminded me of Rick and Morty with the Peace Among Worlds.
I don't do Rick and Morty.
Have you not
seen it? Yeah, I've seen a little bit, and yeah.
Well, that's what he tells them it means.
Yeah. Okay. But maybe I should have put them in there too, in that case. But and Dustin from Stranger Things also, flips the bird at one point. So I kind of put them together on a piece with aloha, written in the background, and kind of demogorgons made into flowers, like tropical flowers. And the two of them just got a huge kick out of it. So.
Oh my gosh, that's great! Are you looking forward to the new season?
Oh, absolutely. Of both shows, yes. Stranger Things is coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, well, do you know when it is? I'm not aware of when it starts, and I can't wait.
It's May.
Oh my
I
God.
feel like I've got it in my calendar. Like I'm that pumped up about it. I'm not seeing it right off the bat here. So
it's coming up soon. So it'll probably come out
soon.
You'll probably release at about the same time this episode comes out, because
okay.
This one will come out in May sometime. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
You just made me think that'd make a fantastic Hawaiian shirt. You know, the demigorgons with the flowers.
Yeah. It was funny. So Robert's dad, obviously he's with him as like kind of a handler and stuff at these comic conventions. He really loved the piece that I did. They both got a great laugh out of it. If you look on my page, there's a picture of me and him like flipping off the camera and everything. And his dad pulled me aside afterwards, and I still need to like actually get to this. I'm still working on my digital artwork skills here, but he was talking to me a little bit about maybe doing something for like their merch shop at some point soon.
Awesome.
So yeah, we kind of threw around some ideas regarding that. So yeah, I've got to get my stuff in gear.
I think you're finding your way, aren't you, Patrick? You're starting to see where your work can fit and help grow other people's franchises as well. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is fun. I mean, I really love going to the comic conventions and meeting some of these people, because you think some of them are just so intimidating on screen, and they turn out to be the nicest people in the world, and you wind up having great discussions and stuff. Oh yeah. So Rhode Island Comic Con this past year was just chock full of people. That was just fantastic to me.
That's this year you went? So
yeah, it was November.
So people are pretty happy to get out of the lockdown, the pandemic lockdown, and all that, I guess. So they're flooding to conventions. Do you have a lot of upcoming conventions planned?
I do. I try to do roughly one a month.
Wow, that's a lot.
Throughout the year. It kind of dies down late winter until the springtime. So I just did my first one of 2022 2-3 weekends ago, and I've got one coming up in another couple weeks as well.
Cool.
Go into May.
How did you fall into sketch cards?
So that is a story, and so let's see. I know that you're both familiar with the Star Wars collectible card traders group on Facebook.
Yes.
So I was initially a collector alone. Even so I was a big Star Wars fan growing up as a kid. And then, I want to say it was like 92, 93 was when Topps kind of started picking up the Star Wars license again. And they did their first Galaxy series. And that had me roped in from the get-go. I had I got a box of those for Christmas that year, and I still have my old collection of that. Plus many, like this entire bookshelf behind me is all Star Wars cards at this point. It's taking over. So I kept my collections. I had the Galaxy series, Wide Vision, Finest, bunch of those from back in the 90s. And again, high school, college and stuff kind of just wasn't on my radar. And that was when the prequels were coming out. I did pick up some of that stuff, but really wasn't as into it. And then of course, Journey to the Force Awakens came out, and they had them in Target, and I got roped. They were like right there by the register. I'm like, ooh, Star Wars cards. And so I, was picking those up a pack at a time, and realizing I'm not getting a full set here, and that's where I found the collectible card traders group. I stumbled into that, and eventually they started having artists coming into the group that were looking to sell their artist proofs or just connect with fans. And I started connecting with them, becoming friends. As the both of you have become good friends of mine, and just a really fun way to connect with. Just mind blowing to me that the way Facebook works. Sometimes you get to connect with people from all over the world. It's the nice part of the internet.
Yes, that is the nice part.
So the not so nice part of it wound up being, somebody had poked fun at a particular artist who had done a pencil sketch. And they had put it up on eBay for some ridiculous, it was like $100,000, and they put in the description, oh, look at this amazing pencil sketch by artist so and so, and very mocking. And it kept coming up, like no matter what the admins did, there was somebody else that was finding it and just putting it, reposting it, and it, with good reason, upset a lot of the artists, and they started saying, we're going to leave the group because of the way that this is going, and you guys aren't putting your foot down on it at all. And so that there was kind of a little exodus, I guess, of artists from that group. And I think myself and one or two other people kind of said, hey, maybe we should, extend the olive branch, and kind of do. It was right around this time of year, 2017, because it was coming up on May 4th, and we were going to do, May the 4th Artist Appreciation Day, and we reached out to a number of the artists that had been part of the group, whether they had left or not. Got some addresses, ideas of who they liked, whether it be Star Wars or not, and got a bunch of people to volunteer to try their hand at doing their own PSCs for these artists. And it was really interesting in that it taught a lot of us just how ridiculously hard it is to try on a 2.5 by 3.5 piece of cardboard and make it look good. And my first attempts were, they were attempts. They were something. I really hadn't picked up a pencil in years. Even though I had enjoyed it way back, it did not translate at all. I still found myself really enjoying it. And I did a number of those, and I bought, the pack of the Bristol cards, and a handful of, basic art supplies. I think some colored pencils at first. And
if I may just poke this little comment in before you continue.
Oh yeah.
I want to hear the whole story. I just wanted to say, so you've started actually as a collector of cards, and then you got into the sketch cards that way. That's interesting. Please continue.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And feel free to cut me off. I ramble like crazy. The event, I would say, was really successful in bringing a lot of those artists back and kind of bringing some more goodwill. I know Nick Alsop, and I hope I'm not butchering his last name. He was part of that as well. And I believe that was kind of his first foray into sketch cards as well, if I'm not mistaken. I could be totally wrong with that, but I know he and I got involved with it at least at the same time, and he was able to get on with Tops quicker than I was, but we were both kind of at the same time discovering that we enjoyed it, and continuing to pursue some artwork on sketch cards.
That's fascinating. What was your first set with Tops then, out of curiosity?
So my first one was A New Hope black and white.
Oh, I remember that set. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is before my time. My first one was ESB black and white.
Oh, okay.
But it's fascinating to hear all the stuff that's happened before I started doing it. That history there, isn't there?
Yeah, a little bit. That group was it's like the Wild West, man. It was really some crazy stuff happened in there.
It's such a supportive group now, though, isn't it? Like I absolutely love it in there. Brilliant people.
I wish I could say that I was still part of it. I am no longer in there.
That's
a little. Yeah, falling out with some people. I won't go into too much of that here.
It happens.
But still part of other communities on Facebook and things like that. And
that's one thing about Facebook. There are a million groups for a million subjects. It's like it's impossible not to find one somewhere that will welcome all of us.
Absolutely.
As one person was saying the other day that we were talking with, you want to go on Facebook just to check out a few things. 5 hours later, yeah, there are good points and bad points about it. Do you use any other online outlets? Like
so I have obviously my Facebook presence. I have my personal page, my art page, and then I have it's essentially Patreon but on Facebook. And I'm sure that if Facebook found out about how I did that, they'd probably shut me down, because it's like a subscription based, but it's through PayPal, because they do allow that. I'm not sure how many people really even know about it.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah,
but they all know about it now.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure. Yes, somebody will report me and get me in trouble. but I'm waiting for the hammer to fall on it. But it's been roughly a year since I started that up, and it's gone pretty well.
Actually, because I think that you are allowed to put links here, there, and I mean, I've got links to my Patreon. I have links to my donation. I have a PayPal donation for this podcast, actually, and nobody has taken it down yet, so it ought to be all right.
Yeah, it really seems like if somebody reports it, that's when they kind of look into it. But I was finding, because I did for I think 2 years, I had a Patreon, Patreon page, and I could never get more than 3 or 4 people on it at one time. And that's where I was doing all of my live streams, a lot of my exclusive content, first shot at my artist proofs, what have you. It was all through there. And it did all right, again, but it was kind of a revolving door and never had many people on it. And that's when, PayPal, sent me that message saying you can do subscriptions. And so I set it up. It's the same exact system that I had for Patreon, same tiers and things like that, same rewards, but it's on Facebook. So rather than people having to leave the comfort of Facebook, we all want to stay on Facebook for 5+ hours. All my updates just come through there. So I found that to be much more successful, I think. I do some sneak peeks of what I'm working on at any given time. And I find that, I have some solid followers on there that work out
Excellent.
pretty well. But beyond Facebook, I do also have my Instagram page. I've tried to use Twitter for my artwork and somewhat mixed results on there. And that's really about it.
No
I
TikToks
haven't.
for you?
No, no dancing, with sketch cards or anything
Ooh,
like that. But
cool.
right,
Davis, you dance.
right. No one wants to see that. No one.
Much fun. When you got back into drawing again, what was your chosen materials? You mentioned you bought some pencil cratons, just some basic standard stuff. Have you added more to your repertoire now? Are you getting more comfortable with certain materials?
Oh, absolutely. I think my second set wound up being Last Jedi Series 2. And I had I used colored pencils quite a bit with that, and I was realizing that it just wasn't going as quick as I needed it to. So that's when I started picking up some of the Prismacolor markers, and those worked okay for a while, and just after a bit found that they were lacking in color range. So I did make the switch to Copic markers, and I have a plethora of those. And
You have color for everything.
What brands are you using at the moment? Do you favor any brand over another for your Copics?
Just the standard Copic sketch marker is my tool of choice, most likely. And Posca paint pens are also, I think.
I've heard about those. Do you enjoy them?
Oh, they're fantastic.
How different are they from Copics?
We've got a bunch of them here. So, they're roughly the same size and everything, but they are literally, it's just a barrel full of acrylic paint, and you can just draw on it. But, initially,
may I ask?
Posca. So Posca. It's, if you can, that's not backwards for you. Sorry, my light is probably
I've got to try
that super glare. So these are a favorite of mine for highlighting. Initially I bought just a white one because I'd heard that it was a nice opaque white paint. Okay. And I was looking to obviously lots of stars and things like that, for spaceships and things like that. And then I was using them for like little highlights of reflections on eyes, and then I started really going down the rabbit hole with them, and I'm it's almost like I do finger painting on some of my cards, because I'll use them, I'll draw a line and I don't want it to be that
crisp.
Yeah, thank you. And so I'll kind of smudge it a little bit, and it's great for beards and things like that, and a little bit of blending here and there. So I use those quite a bit, and as I've gone along here, particularly on so I'm working on the Cryptozoic Middle Earth set right now, which I know a lot of people did work on something like 2 years ago, and we're all kind of patiently waiting for that to come out, which it sounds like it will. I think probably around the time this releases, I think sometimes in May. So I've got about a week left to finish up my 70 cards.
Have you been doing a lot of beards? A lot
yes.
Of Gandalf.
Oh my god. Like I got all my references set up and I didn't even think about it, and that Facebook insiders group is what I call it. I'm just like, I am so flippin' tired of dwarves right now. Like, if I draw another beard ever in my life, it'll be too soon. I'm like, and I have one and I hate them now. Like, just
Oh my God.
I never want to see another beard again.
There's so many Star Wars, you've just kind of got to deal with Obi, haven't you? There's just an Obi beard, really. But yeah, Lord of the Rings, very beard heavy.
Yes. Yeah. It just didn't even occur to me as I was doing, setting up my references. Like, oh, this is fine. We've got the 13 dwarves from the Hobbit films. Like, yeah, let's do all those guys. All the wizards, all the any guy.
Shaving blades had not been invented yet.
No, it's true. But back in the ages of Middle Earth.
Hobbits have got hairy feet, haven't they? There's just hair everywhere.
Yeah, we're not doing any Hobbit feet cards. Those are right out. I was going to do a whole series, but
I didn't think of that. Oh, Hobbit.
No. Right. But
what has been your favorite license to work on so far, or do you have one you enjoy them all?
I mean, to be honest, it's probably got to be Star Wars. I've done 7 so far. I've been invited to 2 more, and
that's okay. You don't have. Well, by the time this comes out, word may have gotten out, but we're better to maybe not say anything just to make sure that nobody gets into trouble.
Yeah.
Because I have a feeling it's going to release a little later. That's just my opinion, but
yeah,
we won't say.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you have 2 more. So yeah, they were all. So you do enjoy the Star Wars sets. I got to say, I do too.
Yeah.
I've only turned 1 Star Wars set down, and that was because there were literally no references for it at the time. All we had was a trailer, I think. And I thought,
was that Solo?
No, I think it was Journey to the Rise of Skywalker. Something.
Yeah, I think it was that one, Lindsay. I think you're right. It was Journey to Rise of Skywalker. We had like 10 images or something, or 1 trailer, like just crazy.
And it was so fuzzy, and I just thought, no, I can't. I need more to work with than that.
Do at least 30 cards with that little reference. I know Solo was, they just had a teaser trailer to work off of.
Yeah, that's right.
Say was less than a minute long.
So long ago now. Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird. I get invitations sporadically, and I think it has a lot to do with the way that I got onboarded with Tops, because it was not your typical manner, I guess. But when I started, it was Mark Von Olen, who I loved working with a great deal. We had connected a bit, via Facebook, and I was going to be at Rhode Island Comic Con. I knew he was there getting autographs. I think Junis Sotamo. Never know how to say his last name either. But they were getting autographs for whatever new set, and so I was trying to meet up with Mark at Rhode Island Comic Con, just to kind of show him a little bit of my work and see if I could get on for the next set. And didn't connect, but he was like, "Here's my phone number. Give me a call tomorrow, and we'll see if we can meet up before you leave the city." And when I talked to him, he was like, "Oh, I thought you were already a Tops artist. I thought I recognized your name. Yeah, sure, we'll get you on A New Hope black and white." I was like, "Oh, okay." Kind of sight unseen, but I had been sending my samples and things like that to Tops for ages by that point. So I don't know that I ever really got on like the Tops distribution email or anything like that. So when the art directors change over, I kind of seem to get lost in the mix a little bit for a while.
I think a lot of people do. I don't think it's the fault of anyone in particular, but when jobs change, things get lost and stuff.
Yeah.
You just keep reapplying or knocking on their door or whatever.
Yeah. And then that's basically, how it's gone. So there'll be little gaps where I've, fallen off the list there for tops. But like I said, I seem to be back in now. So
cool.
Yeah, so back on there.
Do you? I'm sorry. Continue.
If I had to choose a favorite outside of Star Wars, because that's kind of my obvious answer, I'm really loving Middle Earth. Beards aside, I really am loving it. It's it's another one of my big fandoms that I've just always really loved. I found The Hobbit when I was in 5th grade, in the library, just stumbled on it and was absolutely in love with it. So that's been a long time favorite. I'm sorry, Lindsay.
With you doing your English and everything, have you always been a big reader?
I would say so. These days it's more audiobook. I'm able to kind of just turn on Audible while I'm working on cards.
What kind of books are you listening to?
It's fun right now because Audible just did a recording with Andy Serkis, the voice actor for Gollum, and he just did both The Hobbit and the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, and he's an incredible voice actor in his own right. Obviously Gollum, is his thing, but he did Planet of the Apes. He was Supreme Leader Snoke in the Star Wars films.
Oh, was he? I didn't know that.
Yeah. He's got a lot of different films under his belt, and he always sounds just so different. And it really, he's doing a fantastic job. I'm on Fellowship of the Ring right now as I work on the Lord of the Rings cards. So it really gets me in the mood to draw those cards. And his voice is just fantastic. He switches from.
He really made Gollum in those films, didn't he? Bless him. You hear people. I've heard people sort of down him every now and again, and I'm like, well, no, because nobody knew what Gollum sounded like before he did that, and he did it perfectly. Just because you take it for granted now doesn't mean it's not brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. I think my only other Gollum voice that I ever heard was from that cartoon from the 70s.
That really does. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Rankin and Bass, I think. Anyways. But yeah, he's fantastic. I definitely recommend those books. But I'll listen to pretty much anything. Sci-fi, fantasy. I'm a big Stephen King fan. My Stephen King collection is back here in the barrister case. Yeah. So he's also a longtime favorite of mine, and I'd love to do some King themed artwork at some point when I get some of that fabled free time.
There are movies, aren't there? But there's plenty you could make up with your imagination, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely.
I remember reading The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. Have you read that one?
Yep.
That was it wasn't what I was expecting at all. It's a little bit different, isn't it, from Stephen King?
Yeah.
I was, but I recommend that.
Yeah. It's weird that I have a pop-up book of that. They made a pop-up book out of The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. So that was a weird find.
I have not heard of that book. What kind of book is it? Is it a fantasy, a sci-fi, a horror?
She gets a little girl. She gets lost in the woods, doesn't she?
Yeah. Yep.
I won't ruin it because it just
don't
goes.
Ruin it. But it's a mystery or a.
It's horror.
Oh, it's
horror.
Right. Okay.
King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I may check that one out. Now I want to get I want to get an Audible subscription. I shouldn't do that.
Right. Try Audible today. I checks in the mail. But
So for your commissions, what do you find you get commissioned for most? What type of artwork? Is it cards, comic covers, you know, all that?
see, probably it's almost an even split between cards and comic covers, I would say. I have far too many blank comics sitting, just behind me on the bookshelf here. Probably a long box full at this point. But they're getting used slowly but surely. They're being used. And just the trouble is that I'm always picking up another dozen every month. It's a bit crazy sometimes. But I do love working on those. After working on such small canvases, it's like
you have quite a bit more room on a comic.
Elbow room, breathing.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just like I have no idea what to do with myself half the time with that much room.
So you're a full-time artist, aren't you?
For the time being, yes. Currently, I'm in the process of, I basically kind of have to get my fingerprints done and make sure that I've, I've never committed any major crimes, which I think will go okay. I think I'll be okay, maybe. But no, there's a community art teacher position open at my wife's school, and it's a little tiny private high school that she teaches at, and it's very open, in the plan of it. The students get like almost complete say in what classes are taught and what they want to do, and they really don't have. They have an art teacher, but not full time.
No structure or anything.
Yeah, which is almost nice in a way. But they are looking for someone to come in that has at least some industry knowledge, which
background in
yeah, who's done something professionally. So I might have a small legion of students doing PSCs here in the near future, raising the next generation of tops artists, or something. But
I keep throwing cards at, I teach a couple of kids in my spare time, and I keep throwing them cards and going, no, just do a few, see how it goes. Yeah. And then bring them back to show me what they've done. And I'm like, when you're comfortable, I'll try and sell them for you. I'm just trying to get them in there and get them used to, because a lot of kids they struggle to part with their artwork. Once they've done it, they don't see it as like a saleable item. It's more,
they see it as a piece of themselves a little bit, and they don't want to give it away. Or
maybe they're a bit, maybe it's a bit too soon for that, but I think it's a good thing to get used to. Definitely.
Yeah, I think I'm still getting used to it, to be honest with you. Maybe you can teach me a little.
It is hard, I gotta say, when you do something and it's there's a piece of you that goes away in every piece of art you create, really. No matter what you do, even if it's something quick or something that took you months to do, a piece of you goes with it, and it takes a little getting used to kind of release it to the world and hope nobody laughs at it or something, as we see it happen sometimes.
Definitely.
So how do you deal? Well, you'll probably be trying to get that job, I guess, but how have you been dealing with being freelance and an independent creator, and dealing with the stresses that come along with that?
Yeah, honestly, it probably couldn't have happened at a better time. And that's not just because of the pandemic, though that has been a huge part of it. I am, at least partially a stay-at-home dad on top of doing the freelance artwork. So we're homeschooling our son these days. Little personal background information about me. My wife has Crohn's disease, and it's pretty severe.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, we're she actually just started a new medication earlier this week that seems to be doing the trick. But so she can get very sick very suddenly, and especially with the pandemic, it became a real issue of her safety along with his. And like I said, she's a teacher. The school that she was working at previously, just over Christmas break and things like that, they had decided to take away the masks and everything like that completely. So that was when she made the move to this new private school that she's at, which is much safer for her. So a lot less stress there. And my son actually goes with her a couple days out of the week, and gets to hang out with a bunch of big kids, but also, he's doing his own schoolwork there. And that's kind of when I get the most done here at home in terms of my work. But, he's perfectly, content, and I'm able to kind of, work here while he's, here on the couch doing, his schoolwork on his laptop. So it works out, a great deal. Like if I had my previous jobs, where I was always in the corporate world for a long time, for, probably from about 2007 until 2018 or so.
And that's a completely different life.
Yeah. And I really, I was good at it, but I didn't enjoy it very much, and it was mostly because I just didn't have the time with my family. I was leaving early in the morning, and, my commute was long, and it would, kind of 8 to 6. And then I was still getting emails and stuff like that from customers. One job I was working in the legal industry, I would get calls at 2 or 3 in the morning. No, no, thank you. Panicking paralegals. No, thank you. But
so you have quite a complex background, actually, that you're bringing with you to the drawing table.
Yeah, quite literally. But I've been kind of all over the place trying to find a place to fit.
Have you ever tried doing your own, be it sketch card sets or art books or what have you, or something that's creative that you can kind of put you into, that would be for you, or
Yeah. So I've tried my hand, here and there at some of like just my own original concepts and things like that. It's not something that I put out there a lot, just because it doesn't feel polished enough just yet. I did, we were talking just before we kind of went live here. Lindsay just got a new tablet. I picked up, a little while back, I got myself a Wacom tablet, and I've really wanted to start delving into doing some digital artwork, and maybe not like 100% digital, but probably drawing something, scanning it, and then doing some touch-ups and things like that digitally. So I have been putting a lot of thought into doing something. Board games appeal to me quite a bit. we have a whole bookcase full of board games here in my house. And, so there's obviously a lot of artwork that goes into that. And, I do know, just from being in the convention world, you wind up running into a lot of the same people and making good friends with, a lot of indie comic creators, just all sorts of different kinds of artists that are doing their own original content. So I'd very much like to start delving a little bit further into that type of work. It just hasn't quite made it yet. And I think
here's one little thing I want to delve into a little bit more. You mentioned you've been doing your own designs, your own ideas and your own drawings, and you're not wanting to put them out because you don't feel like they're quite polished enough yet. I think it's quite an interesting question, because I speak to a lot of artists who they just want stuff to be perfect before they show it to the world. And I'm not convinced it's always the right way to go, because people like to come along on this journey with you and see you improve and get better and maybe help you and give you advice and things like that. So, I mean, you can do these things, hide away in secret, and then come out and go, oh, this is what I've done. Or you can let everybody come along with you. I mean, I don't know which one's the best way around to do it, but I just wanted to say, if you're feeling a little bit underconfident, don't.
Very often we are our own worst critics.
Absolutely. I certainly know that I am my own worst critic.
I'm not putting any of my stuff into print because I was like, I need it to be perfect before it goes into print. I'm happy sending artwork out there, but before it's printed, it has to be perfect. And I thought, do you know what? Just do it. The cards arrived and they look fine. There's nothing, I don't know what I was worried about, but yeah, I think that's something I'd like to ask more artists if they're feeling like that, just that next push and they're a bit unsure.
That's a good point to make, because it is actually extremely debilitating for many people. And there are a lot of people who actually just never do. I know a couple of people who just never went on to do what they wanted to do because they thought, well, no, it has to be the right time. It has to be done perfectly. It has to be well, then, you'll never do it if you wait.
And it often ends up being something completely different to what you thought it would be when you first started as well.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Also,
shut up, mate.
Thank you. I appreciate the pep talk on that.
and your work is is amazing as it is already, and then with time you develop it into part more of who you are. It's kind of weird in a way, and now that you think about it, everything you create, part of, like I said, part of you goes with it, but the more you create, the more you put into it, and the more of you put out, you kind of get a little empty after a while, I guess. Do you ever have to recharge at all?
Yes, absolutely.
What do you do to recharge? Do you have different hobbies or anything? That hesitation tells me you don't really have any, you don't have a different outlet maybe, or any time for that.
I mean, not right now. I do like to, play video games, especially with my son. Right now we're playing the new Lego Star Wars game, which he's absolutely loving. But I mean, I used to sink so much time into games like Fallout or Skyrim. The big open world type things are my kind of thing. I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit.
Sorry, that take like a year to get through, or you can just carry on playing forever and ever and ever, and
pretty much.
It's not an ending.
Yeah, I don't want to try those games because I know if I try it and I like it, I'm gone. That's it. I'll never do anything else again. So
yeah,
I used to be a big World of Warcraft fan, but I was very disciplined. I only played it on a Friday night. It was my Friday night, and that was it. Because I knew I'd just be on it all the time.
Yeah, I had a number of friends, but they're lost to us now. But, yeah.
Well, it's depressing because it also tells you how long you've spent on it. Like
Oh,
my
really?
brother, he had a really big problem with it, and he spent over a year of his life on it, and
Oh,
that's including sleep and everything, a whole year. Like,
Oh my God.
wow,
yep.
that's incredible.
That's
When he
a
read that, he
decision
quit.
not
He
to
just
quit.
quit cold turkey. They were like, nope, that's it, I'm done. After seeing how much time he'd spent on it.
Good for him. Yeah, I know a lot of people that have just, it gets to be a certain point, and it can ruin relationships, it can ruin jobs, and it gets ugly. So I try not to get that crazy with it. I know. Like Elden
I bet
Ring
you haven't
just
got
came out
much
not too
time
long
for
ago.
many things now, given that you're working as a full-time artist, you're homeschooling, going to your cons. I mean, you've got a full plate, really, haven't you?
Yeah. So yeah, I find myself actually kind of doing a full day, especially when my son's home, and then staying up, all odd hours of the night trying to get my work done with the art, and that can be, burning the candle at both ends a little bit. So I do try to find at least some balance in there somewhere, where he's able to do his thing and I'm working on mine. So I'm not up at 5 a.m. and trying to finish another beard. Beards. I shaved mine off
That's gonna be a new catchphrase, isn't
in
it, on
anger.
Facebook? Beards.
Yeah. But gosh, that there was, a point like this time last year, we were selling our house. We used to live in Massachusetts, and my wife's job, previously she'd been remotely teaching at a school here in Maine, which is where we now live. So finding a new place for us to be before we didn't have a place to live anymore, it was kind of a full-time job in and of its own. A lot of commissions fell by the wayside. I still have a list of things that people have, hey, whenever you get a chance, kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, give me another year or so and I'll get caught up. Because it's I was still doing conventions and things like that, but I wasn't doing sketch card sets. I wasn't taking on, I wasn't really able to do a lot of artwork. And that was pretty depressing for a while, but really not being able to do, even just for the couple of months where my stuff was sort of packed away.
Especially when you've got it waiting there as well, and because it can feel like a lot of pressure, can't it? When you have penciled in, you can't get to it.
Yeah,
it can be really frustrating.
So you miss
absolutely.
it when you don't get the chance to actually create.
Oh yeah.
So you wouldn't be able to go back to a corporate job, would you?
And that's it's a big piece of it. I just,
Even though it probably pays more than what you make now, it would be really
definitely
difficult. It would
Yeah.
be really difficult to go back.
Absolutely. So like for good 7-8 years there, I was with like Staples corporate, and I was in their print division, and that was really where I was just spending so much time. I was in sales, and I was good at it, which is weird because I hate making phone calls. Like my anxiety just like takes the steering wheel, especially like cold calls, which I was required to make. It was like supposed to make at least like 50 or something like that a week. Well, horrible. But oddly enough, I was really good at it somehow. And yeah, I made a really good amount of money doing it, with commissions coming in and things like that on top of a normal salary. So yeah, there's definitely a career that I'm sure that I could go back to. I'm sure
Well,
that
at
I
least
could,
it's there should you ever really need it. It's in your back pocket, even if you
yeah,
don't go back to it.
You can
yeah,
learn
and that's
skills to sell your own stuff as well, can't you? The
yeah,
stuff you learn in your sales job.
yeah. It's I've been able to use some of those skills, with the artwork, yeah, especially at conventions. Um, using some of those skills kind of in a different manner. So it's interesting to cross over, but yeah, at the same time, I was miserable doing it, and yes, particularly now, just being able to spend a lot of time with my son. He's not quite 9 at this point, but yeah, I was gonna say I think pretty close in age there. So I'm sure that you understand. It's really precious time.
Just time, and it goes so fast.
Yeah,
Mine are adults now, but I remember when they were both 9 years old, 10 years old, and they still like being with you.
yes, yeah, and I mean he's a really sweet kid. So it's yes, we have our difficult days, but I wouldn't want to give this up for anything. To be honest with you,
even if you went and did like a corporate day job again, you still have to pay for the childcare for your child. I mean, and if you can work from home and spend time together, that's so much better, isn't it?
absolutely agree. Yeah.
It's worth whatever finagling you have to do to kind of work around certain things and stuff like that, but it ends up working out in the end, I think.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Which is why I kind of feel like, so this community teaching job that I was telling you about, I feel like will, hopefully really work out, because it is a place where, they're like, yeah, bring in your son. They've got, if somebody's got their dog there all day, most
That would be awesome.
days out of the week, and it's like he gets to go play, Foursquare with the high school kids, and he's doing his own thing while she's teaching, and then we basically wind up working the same hours at the same location.
It's like find a way to work everything that works for you. That's brilliant.
Yeah,
it really is.
And
can I ask, what has been your most challenging commission? Have you had any commissions before that have just made you want to rip your own beard off? Excuse me.
Or it's something that was too weird to do.
Yeah, I've had some weird requests.
Yeah, there's always weird requests, and usually I'm nothing too not safe for work, but let's see. Yeah, I would say, and it almost kind of falls back into the question, about doing my own, like, stuff that I would like to do. It was challenging in that it was something that I had never done before. There was a gentleman that had come into one of the many Facebook groups that I'm in. I don't even remember which one, but his partner is an author, sorry, who, I'm not sure if the book is finished or if it was still in the works, but the idea was that he wanted to get a Christmas gift for his boyfriend, and he wanted it to be, he was giving like a paragraph section of the book, and there were, I think, like a dozen to choose from, and he was just looking for a handful. I think it wound up being like 10 different artists that they selected to commission, just using that little sample of text, see what you come up with in terms of a piece of artwork. And so I chose one. It was I thought there was plenty of explanation there. It turned out to be, way different in my mind than it was in theirs. And it was there was a constant, kind of back and forth about, the scene centered on a flower. So, I had in my mind, a very different type of flower than they did. And, it wound up being more of a lotus kind of thing, but very large, where initially I had been thinking of something very small and delicate.
But wouldn't that be your own, and isn't that what he asked for, an artist's interpretation of what they read? But
yeah,
wasn't happy with the way you interpreted it.
And I think that's where the beard pulling came in. Was I may have opened myself up for that. In that I was like, well, I want to make sure that you're happy with it. In the end, so I'm gonna I'll do a preliminary sketch, make sure that you're happy with it, and then I'll do the actual drawing before I put any ink on the paper, so that I can still make changes to it. And it became a process. There was a lot of back and forth, a lot of changes, and it paid well. I was happy with what I got in the end. But at the same time, it was frustrating to.
Well, when you first said it, I thought, wow, what a fascinating idea! I really love that idea. Commissioning just to see what comes out of their mind. But when you want a certain thing to come out of their mind, that kind of defeats the object for me a little bit. But you have to work with your clients and do what they want, even if you think something else is better or looks better, or you kind of have to just go along, don't you?
Yeah. And there did come a certain point where I knew when I started putting color to it that they were going to be a lot happier with what I was doing. They just couldn't see it yet, because it wasn't drawn. It was going to be presented in the colors and things like that. And I just had to say, kind of, we've gotten this far, just trust me to finish it. I promise you're going to like it. And it really came out very well. To not to pat myself on the back, but
you have to pat yourself on the back. Everybody can pat themselves on the back.
But oddly enough, that's it's almost the kind of thing that I would like to see myself doing more of in the future. Again, you meet all sorts of these conventions, and there's always at least a handful of authors that have their books, and they're kind of doing the indie presses and things like that, and publishing their own work. I've gotten to be pretty good friends with a good handful of them, and I would love to be approached by somebody and say, hey, would you do a handful of illustrations for my next book, and do something along those lines.
Don't wait to be approached. Just do it and show them. Don't wait for them.
That's right.
Completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Create your own job and then show it.
So this is what I can do for you. If you like it, I'm here. Bring it on.
Okay. No, that's a good point. I think I do need to be a little bit more.
Pick a book you really love, approach it as if it was a job, and then take it and shop it around and see what other people would think. That's what I would do.
I love that idea.
With some of my stuff, actually. So.
Really? Okay.
We're gonna have to kind of slowly wind down a little bit.
Sure.
What advice would you have? What do you wish you knew when you started? Which could be a kind of a way to give advice in a way. Is there anything you wish you'd known before you got into this whole thing?
That was a good question. Um, hmm.
Not too much?
No, gosh, probably about a million things, to be honest with you. But yeah, I'm trying to think of good advice.
Oh, don't think about good advice. That doesn't exist.
Hmm.
Is there anything that's come up that you've thought, wow, I wish I'd been doing this right from the beginning?
I think, taking the time to develop your own style from the beginning before, um, getting into other people's projects. Um, you know, I wound up kind of developing, I think, what has become my style through um, through Tops, looking for the photorealism, it's in our briefs every time. That's really what they want. My, like if you look at any of the, character portraits that I did for A New Hope, black and white, there you can kind of recognize it. I've had some people poke fun at some of what I've done there. And maybe there's another good piece of advice is to let it roll off your back.
That's excellent advice.
Try not to engage.
I always try and think some of the best things in the world that have been created, whether it's art or music or what films, there's always people who don't like it. So, I mean, we know it's amazing.
Yeah.
Get on with it.
For the longest time, I engaged in an argument with an artist who shall not be named. And I think a lot of people know who I'm talking about just by that. Former Tops artist who, is very bitter and angry, and, decided to pick on my art. And made a lot of really crude comments and shared a lot of it to his personal page, and I let that kind of get into my mind a little bit, and yeah, so I think not engaging with people that will critique your work in unconstructive ways, just looking to tear you down to make themselves feel better.
Helpful, and then there's just being mean, isn't there?
Absolutely. To take critiques from people that you look up to, so folks like the two of you happily take constructive criticism from either of you any day. Over.
I will wait to be asked.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to know your opinion, they will ask you, won't they?
Well, and that's the thing is, so back to, being a collector, I have, right here on my wall, I have over 40 cards, displayed up on my wall. And then I have a plethora of other sketch cards and binders behind me. I love collecting different pieces of art from the people that I've connected with, and not just to have it, but I love studying your styles. I have cards from both of you, that I've been lucky enough to either afford or pull from a pack. But one way or another, I like to have it in my hand and study, a little bit, and say, okay, how in the world did you do that? How did you make this look so awesome? And looking at the brush strokes, Ingrid, or the pen strokes for you, and looking at your techniques and kind of almost deconstructing a little bit and seeing, how could I incorporate this into my style a little bit.
It's so amazing to look at other people's art, and I love looking at other people's art, but especially like for real, which we don't often get the chance to do.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, you have cards from different people, and to look at people's art, I have some cards from people too, and unfortunately I don't have one of yours yet.
We'll fix that.
But to look cool, the to look at it and just imagine that person doing it, and it's very often it looks a little different than you see online, because that's the nature of screens and digital art and all that stuff. You learn a lot that way. It's fun, and you learn from everybody, and it's great. It really do you have any opinions on NFTs? That's one question I'd like to ask before we close this out.
I had a pretty firm stance against them for a while. I made a wisecrack about it a little while ago, and a friend of mine who I did not realize was making her own NFTs, chimed in, and she said, it's not a scam. I do make them myself, and I've done very well over the past year with them. Reese was also kind of on that thread, and we were both kind of, okay, well, let's pick your brain about that a little bit, because so my mind has opened up a little bit on it.
Have you
more
figured
than it
out how
had
to
been.
do it yet?
No, gosh, no.
Neither have I. Something we're going to learn about as we go on.
Yeah, and it's certainly something that I'm interested in learning more about. And again, my friend Stephanie, I thank her for correcting my stance a little bit. I'm sure that there are scams out there, plenty, as there always are, but my assumption had been that it was all I think it stems a lot from just being on Instagram and getting constant floods of messages about people wanting to get you to buy Bitcoin. So I'm like, okay, scam, buy, block. And yeah, I know that they're all intertwined and stuff like that. So my opinion had been misinformed and skewed by that. So I need to do more digging.
I agree with you, because my opinion was like, I'm not going to waste my time learning about this. It's who knows what it is. I still don't know what it is, but my mind has, of these past few months and talking with a lot of people, I've begun to change my mind and want to know more about it too. And I want to understand it. I think Lindsay and I were talking a little bit about it, and yeah, I think you're right. We're opening our minds a little bit. We'll try to talk to a few people who know about it, more about it than we do, and see if we can all learn about it.
Yeah, it's certainly something, especially once I get this Wacom tablet up and running, and get to a point where I can solidly use it. I think it's something that I'm going to be delving a little bit more into and learning more about.
What program are you going to be using on your Wacom? Have you decided?
What program?
Which art program are you going to use on your Wacom? Are you going to go with a Photoshop?
I think what's it called? I think Clip Studio. Yeah, Clip Studio. Is the one that I had a trial to that, and I did use it a bit when I was first trying it out, but I've also realized that my desk layout is not digital art friendly, so I need to clear this. I mean, it doesn't look like it. I've made it so that there's piles of crap here to here. I've just put it just out of view.
For those who cannot see the video,
right?
Patrick is making huge mountains.
Yeah, there's a ceiling of books right here. There's so much stuff on my desk, but I do want to reorganize. So I have my regular monitor here in front of me, and the Wacom tablet is over in this corner, and it's not, I have nowhere to put it while I'm doing work, and it just gets messy. But
the problems of an
and then,
art.
kind of over this way is where I have my my regular drawing board.
You have a wonderful wood one. Oh yeah, I had a wood one like that for the longest time.
It's cheap though. It was, came from Michael's. And,
as long as you've got the angle. I mean, I get in quite a lot of pain with my elbow, because you'll be leaning, and before you know it, and it all goes purple and bruised.
Yes.
So I think
I was actually just dealing with that last week. I finally got it healed up a little bit, but
you're concentrating on your drawing. You're not realizing you're in a lot of pain until you stop, and then you're
we should invent the artist's elbow pillow or something.
Oh gosh,
like that,
yes. Well, that's a winner. Get on that.
It's trademarked already for anyone watching this video. I've taken care of it before this video has been released, so it's trademark Patrick Davis, copywritten.
PiP, the artist's elbow pillow.
Yeah, there you go.
$9.99.
Patrick, where can people find you if they want to find your work or contact you or commission you or whatever?
Yeah, my main presence on Facebook is Davis Arts Fandoms Illustrated. So if you type in the facebook.com/Davis Arts FI, and looks like you're writing that down, so I'll give you a second. And then on Instagram, it's just pdavis1125.
P. Davis. Okay.
I created that long before I was an artist, and I was not very original with my Instagram name.
You don't want to know what my handles were called when I first got online, years and years and years and years and years. I had such stupid names. And anyway. Well, thank you so much for having taken the time to talk to Lindsay and I.
Thank you for having me.
We'd love to have you back on down the road.
Yeah.
Talk about how it's going with your teaching job and your projects and how your book illustrations are coming along.
That would be wonderful.
You'll find the show as a little bit of Patrick Davis, of what's been coming out of you naturally. I hope you get the confidence to show us at some point. I can't wait to see what you've been doing.
You've both given me a tremendous boost in that. So I think you'll be seeing a lot more of it.
Awesome.
Thank you both so much for having me. This has been a wonderful chat. I really appreciate it.
It's been wonderful to talk to you. All the best, and we'll leave all the links in the description box below, both for the audio and the video. So please go visit Patrick and let him know what you think. Positive vibes everywhere. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ingrid.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Lizzie.